We're Winter Nights, and you're watching Heavy New York! Heavy New York!
What's up, everybody? It's Alex from Heavy New York. Another video interview here in Brooklyn, New York, and we return with one of Brooklyn's own. We are here with Winter Nights. Great to talk to you guys.
You as well, man. It's all good.
I always love you, man.
It's always great to catch up with you guys. So I just heard the first two new singles off your upcoming self-titled album, which is Open Grave and When December Burns, or Unmarked Grave, sorry. But can these two singles serve as like a clear representation of what the whole album is going to sound like in a way?
Yeah. When December Burns is the first song on the album. It definitely sets a precedence for the whole album as far as what comes up and what goes down in the album. So it's pretty fucking close.
Awesome. Is there any like experimentation, maybe some gentle ballads?
I would say it probably the closest one is this track called Star for Energy. If you call that a ballad, I don't know, would you call that a ballad?
That's fucking ballad. If your ballad was killing yourself or killing someone else,
I mean, maybe that would be my opinion of a ballad on the album, but yeah, that would be the closest, I would say.
One thing I was curious about is, like, for people who may have discovered you off the first initial offering from you guys, back in the day, is this like a direct follow-up to your previous album, or is this like in a way a new start for Winter Nights?
Every album that we've done, or every piece of music, I try to evolve the music. Like, the last album is totally different from this one. And I want it to be that way. I want people to give people something to look forward to the next time we release another album, to almost like, wow, these guys totally, I didn't expect that from these guys. We've been playing this music for a while, now we're going to play this one. This is like totally, not different, but we kind of crawled out of our shell with this album, I want to say. And we're actually working on the next 4 songs for the next album, which we have already started to track this summer. So it's going to be another whole different level of what we're doing. So
that's incredible. One thing I was curious about is there kind of like a preconceived idea usually of what you want the music to sound like, or is there kind of like a lot of improvising involved?
It's a little bit of everything. I would say sometimes we just come in the studio and we just jam out to a lick or jam out to a riff, and it just becomes a song. Like one of the songs on the album that's coming up, When December Burns, I simply just started playing a tapping lick, and it just, Jeremy's like, I think that's a fucking song. And I'm just like, well, I guess it's a fucking song. Let's go with it. Let's fly with it as much as we can.
Yeah, I would agree with that. But another thing was like the lyrics. I try to make it conceptual. So it's like I try to push my own boundaries of what I write. Sort of, I usually write from my dreams. Like, I had a dream of setting myself on fire, which is self-immolation, and that's where I had the lyrics for it. When December Burns, I had another dream where I was being buried alive and I couldn't get out, almost like a Inception type of thing. I kept going to different levels of being buried. That's where Unmarked Grave came from, and the whole album is pretty much that. It's different. It's like, it's like the idea of suicide, but not in an emo fucking way. More of like either taking your life or something else letting you take your life, or making you, for that matter.
Yeah. Does this like dream or these concepts help maybe determine the music itself? Can that ever influence it, or do you kind of need music before you have like a lyrical idea?
Half the time in my dream, there's like some 1930s waltz music playing. So I hope it doesn't determine the music, but in a way, it may have sort of an influence on, because I never remember actually the music in the dream. I remember like sequences of what happens, but actual fucking music, nah. Like usually it's just like I just hear noises, but I don't know if it really makes. Probably.
I mean, in my opinion, he's more of the lyricist, so I can hear things like, I guess, soundscapes through the music, but he would hear it through the lyrics. So it's like when you kind of mesh in both ideas, it's just like, okay, here's a fucking song, pretty much. And when you come with his dreams and his ideology, and then some of what I'm doing, and the licks and the riffs, and it's like it all comes together. And then the bass player and the drummer will come up with different ideas too, and it all piece itself together. And like he said, this one is definitely very conceptual, but just so different than what we've done in the past. Like, people will be surprised if they haven't been surprised already.
Yeah, because a lot of people, you're a favorite here in the New York City scene, and every time we see you playing with like Insomnium and Swallow the Sun and Omnium Gatherum and stuff, like it always seems like you have that signature melodic death metal style. But would you say that maybe this album can be sort of categorized in that if people need to pigeonhole it one way or another?
I would say it yes. First off, but it's going to be a little bit of like people who are used to our music from our last album, 2014, are used to the music. They're used to hearing that. They're used to hearing that sort of signature sound we've created with that album. This is a little bit of a different melody. It's more, on this album I worked on more of a sway. So imagine you're on a boat, and you're going back and forth, and it's a huge fucking storm, and I don't know, whatever comes out of the water, whatever, but you're going swaying back and forth through this treacherous fucking storm. I want this whole album to kind of feel like that, so if anybody pinpoints that it's swaying motion, that's where I want it to be. Hopefully they can relate to it. But
Swing metal.
yeah, swing metal, death metal swing, yeah.
If you do a Frank Sinatra cover on the album, that'll be the album of the year, so just letting you know.
I think the Frank Sinatra cover to do right now would be New York, New York, since, that's just the way it is right now.
That shouldn't be another Frank Sinatra cover. I mean, where are you guys from again?
Yeah, exactly.
I choose
Good old
Dean,
Brooklyn.
I choose Dean Martin, but it's just, Brooklyn, so.
All right, fair enough. Fair enough. Is there ever a time, like, do you guys have a theoretical background? Because I feel like your solos do convey, like, a lot of melody and a lot of emotion behind it. Like, do you have, like, that theoretical background, or do you tend to improvise with the guitar work? I know that your bass player is, like, a theory, like, madman, so.
Scientist.
That's basically me and him play a lot by feel, so it's like what we're feeling in the moment, the emotion, I guess, is that how we just go about it. And when it pertains to guitar solos, I'm influenced from various different guitar players like Malmsteen, Tony McAlpine, all those big heavy hitters. But when it comes to melody, I always cite one of my biggest bands is Iced Earth, and hearing the way their melodies are and hearing the way their stuff is and those arrangements, and just it all kind of meshes in together, and we come to Winter Nights.
There's half the times we're recording, and towards the end, the last thing you do before you record vocals is a solo. You track everything, and then the last thing is, once everything's done, laid out for you, is you record a solo. More than half the time, I'm standing there with him, and we're in a booth, and I'm like, no, fucking try something different. No, come on. Do that, do this. So most of the shit that you hear on the albums, and then it turns into the songs that we play live, are the last minute stuff during our fucking recording.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of weird. Like there's this last minute push just to get out your creativity when you're laying it down on the track. So,
being that you were working on this album now since the last one came out in 2014, is what we're going to be hearing on this album like the first initial take of how it originally was, or did the songs change a lot over a span of time?
Yes, they're actually how they were. We've had 2 drummers move the fuck away.
Yeah.
We've had a couple studio floods. We've moved studios 9 times, I believe, to different areas of Brooklyn, Greenpoint, Williamsburg, Bushwick, whatever. Places are closing down, unfortunately. But the songs that you hear were recorded in that period of time when we had that drummer at that studio. So they are what they are. They've been recorded over the last 5 years or whatever. So you will hear kind of a building block in the band. Like we've kind of the evolution of the last couple of years, so to speak. But yeah.
Taking so long, it maybe adds more context to the album.
I'd say so.
It's been such a time period for this album that it's like, I think me and Jeremy can agree, we're just happy to put it out at this point,
Yeah.
It's just been so it's been so crazy, like he said, floods, switching on the drummers, members, all this stuff. So it's like, here it goes, everyone. Here's the album,
Yeah. Well, you said you are working on some new stuff now, so it's not going to take 6 years for us to hear even more new Winter Nights, right?
Absolutely not.
Not out by the first day of winter, you can shoot me.
I'm going to hold you. You heard it here, guys.
I give him permission.
Exactly. We give you a lot of permission. Ready for the most difficult question of the whole interview? I want you both to answer this. How do you know when a song is done? You first.
Song is done. Wow. I would honestly say, going back to the days of the way we used to do things, I think it's kind of the same way. After a bottle is done, the song is done.
All right, go. I was kidding.
I never joke around with liquor. That's actually true. I have to agree. If you can't sit through your own album while drinking a bottle of liquor and feel amazing that you've done this work or song, for us it's one song, we finish a whole bottle. But anyway, and you can't feel some passion to it, then I think that's when you know it's done. When you feel this certain funny feeling, a little tickle,
Yeah.
so to speak.
So alcohol, kids, that's the way you figure out your art. This is brought to you by Jameson, by the way. I'm sure a lot of you have been drinking that since we've been staying home.
Yeah.
And the final...
Sponsor us, Jameson, sorry.
Yeah, please do. I'll take a bottle as well. But being a band from New York City, I feel like especially with your style, it almost seems like, the blackened death, melodic death. I mean, with you guys, Solemn Vision, Immortal Suffering, Malignancy, like so many great, like, even Black Anvil kind of, I feel like would appeal to the same fan base. For you guys, like, what is kind of like your take on the New York City scene now, especially with, everything that's happening thanks to a virus that I'm not naming on this outlet, but like, I think it's fair to say New York has had a pretty awesome scene.
I fucking love everything that's going on. All these bands are doing their releases. I think more bands have released in this year than I've really known.
Yeah.
Quite a lot of music coming out. I think it's, in a way, I'm not going to say the virus helped bands, but in a way, it took a step back of live music, and maybe a lot of bands like we did, we ended up getting to a new studio, moved into a bigger studio. We've done everything meticulously around the studio to our liking. We've concentrated on songs. We've sent emails back and forth with the new album, and it's going to come out later on, 4 songs. And we've been able to grow upon that. I think for a lot of bands, they probably say the same thing, that they're taking this time to really evaluate things in the band, like songs and maybe their live show. They've been able, if they had the space to, do their live show, and just think about things in the band, like little things that when you're just playing rehearsal and playing shows that you don't think about, I don't know.
Yeah, well, you guys were always, like, super tight live, what I've noticed. Like, I remember when you were playing at Don Pedro back in the day, and somebody knocked over your camera.
Oh, my God.
That was probably my favorite death metal moment ever, may I just say. But, like, and I feel like your live presence, like, do you try to capture a similar energy live that you do on the album, or is playing live and, recording almost a separate entity altogether?
I think it's just how the energy in the room is, like you mentioned, the Don Pedro gig. I mean, I saw people swan diving into each other. I'm like, fuck yeah, that's what I like to see. Keep that going until, things started going fucking crazy. But that's what happens when you feed people booze from like 4 p.m. all the way to God knows when. But anyway, it's like, I really like that. That really makes me want to fucking play harder, faster, and crazier, and just go fucking insane, honestly.
I do this thing before I play a show, whether it's small venue, or fucking Stage 48, the biggest venue, whatever the venues are. The night before, I go through my lyrics and I go through my songs for the set list, and I imagine how my rhetoric's going to be in between songs as well as on stage. And before we get on stage, whatever stage it is, maybe, I put myself in that mind frame of where the lyrics are, so like, there is happy death, death is not just bad. Like, I smile most of the time I'm singing about being killed or killing someone else, And there is happy death out there. So I think about that, and like, someone's actually mentioned to me after the show, you're smiling the whole time while doing these growling belches almost, and like talking about death. So it's kind of interesting. Like, I think of just having fun on stage, even though like I'm talking about the most crazy fucking shit sometimes, and nobody really understands, but it's all death metal anyway. But
Well, I guess that's the best way to describe Winter Nights. I've said this to a bunch of bands, so maybe you could start. I'm trying to market this saying. I need one band to use it: evil music for good people.
Evil music for good people.
There you go.
Trademark that.
So before we go, I want to thank you so much for your time. Always great to run into you guys. Just, when can we be expecting the new Winter Nights? This new album is coming out on the 31st.
The self-titled is on July 31st, all platforms, Spotify, and or whatever the fuck is it, released through DistroKid. So we got Asher Media Relations doing promo for us.
Shout
right
out to
now.
John.
Cheers. And yeah, 2 singles are out. Check that shit. After that, we'll have a music video in August for one of the songs off the album. So that's going to be interesting.
Awesome.
So
And it won't take 6 years to hear more.
No, it will not take 6 years this time.
if it's not out by first day of winter.
You can shoot us
So,
both.
yeah.
Yeah, I know. We made that promise. Thank you guys so much. Everybody, the Brothers of Winter Nights. Excuse me, I'm talking. The self-titled album coming out on the 31st. Be sure to pick it up then. We'll see you next time on Heavy New York. Be safe, everybody.